Hello, you're on day 10 of the 14-day challenge. 4 more days to go. One of the things, when we took Sarah from the hospital, she had surgery on her right arm. So she had, she broke these 2 bones, and she had 2 plates in these 2 arms. These 2 bones. And then in her left leg, she had broken bones and had screws in her ankle. And then she also broke her collarbone. So we have the right arm on this side, the left shoulder for the collarbone, sternum, and rib. So the only good limb that she had left was her right leg. And she actually got really good at moving around with just that one leg, scooting herself all around, because she couldn't wheel herself because of the collarbone and her arm. Eventually she could. Of course, anyone who saw her knows that she eventually could. She was actually kind of sad when she got out of her wheelchair because she was so low. But so one of the things that we didn't think about, or at least we didn't think about, is how being in a wheelchair affects everything. So the hospital said Sarah couldn't go home until she had a ramp, a wheelchair, a potty chair, and a shower chair. And one of the churches let us borrow a wheelchair, which the other day Sarah noticed that someone was using that actually exact same wheelchair, which is kind of cool. And that wheelchair has blessed someone else. But somebody else let us borrow a potty chair, and we didn't know how much we were going to need all of these things. And we had a small shower chair that we thought that we could use. We did not have a ramp at that point. We didn't realize how important that was, but they didn't really specify. They just said, do you have what you need? And we said yes. So they let us leave the hospital. When we left the hospital, it was really hard to get Sarah in the car, especially the first time, because she has the one good leg, and that's it. And she couldn't put pressure on either side, couldn't put any weight. And so she could stand on the one leg, but that was it. So I needed to be between the wheelchair and the door and help lift her and try and raise her to get into the car. It was really hard because there wasn't really room for me to be in there afterwards. When we were done with the wheelchair and I went back to the chiropractor, he said that's pretty messed up, which I figured out it was. So we also had loft beds. So there was no way that Sarah could get into the loft bed. And it's actually hard to imagine her being as helpless as she was then when you look at her now. We borrowed a twin bed from a friend so we could just put it in the open floor space in the room where she and Miranda were, so that we could get her in and out of the bed. When we got home, Robert took her in because there is a step up to the porch, and we discovered that Sarah could not get into the bathroom with the wheelchair. So we ended up using the potty. We had it in the bedroom and just used it there most of the time. Nobody was around. And that's one of the things that we didn't think about. The wheelchair not fitting into the bathroom. So a couple nights later, we went to the funeral home and we had supper at Robert's dad's house. And before leaving, I called my sister-in-law and said, can you measure the bathroom door? And sure enough, she couldn't fit through his bathroom either. So we carried the potty chair with us in the car and then just stuck it in another room so that she could use it there. The next day was the funeral, and we didn't know if she would fit in the bathroom there. So we carried the potty chair with us. Sure enough, she couldn't fit in that bathroom either. So we put the potty chair in a classroom that had a door that we could lock. And I just wonder, how do people function that are in wheelchairs all the time? Because if they're in a wheelchair, especially by themselves, they can't go get the potty chair out of their car and put it somewhere. So just food for thought. That night after the funeral, I took Sarah home alone because we had people in different vehicles, and I couldn't get her in the house. I had to call somebody to come help me get her in. And so I asked Robert to build me a ramp, because that was a necessity for sure. Because as many places as we go, even when she was in the wheelchair, we still went, to the doctor's office in different places, and we needed to have something to get in and out with. One thing we should have asked for was a handicap permit, but we'd never done this before, so we didn't think about how difficult it would be. The first doctor's visit, we had to park pretty far out, which isn't that big a deal, but if you're parking far out, most of the time, there's not room to open the door so that you can get in and out with the wheelchair. And so that was one of those things that we should have asked for, was a parking permit. The next issue was a shower. I quickly discovered that our shower chair was not good enough. Besides the fact that Sarah's wheelchair wouldn't fit in the bathroom, we had a standard, just basic shower chair, and getting her into the bathroom and after her, I hope you don't want too many showers, because that was really difficult and hard. And then another much needed item was a handheld shower head. We had one at the motel, so after the first shower we brought it and swapped it out, and that was a huge difference. But I bought a transfer bench shower chair. That was the best money spent. That and one other thing. There were two different things that were really good money spent. The legs go over the tub and into the shower also, and the seat slides. So I get her onto the seat, and then I could slide her over over the tub. That was an amazing invention. I'm really glad we got that. And then there comes the next one that we had to buy. The first shower, we put a trash bag over her arm and her leg, and the leg did okay because we propped it up, but the arm, after the shower, she held it up and she had a puddle underneath in the bottom of her trash bag. And so I bought these things that go over the cast. I don't even know what they're called. If you want to know what it is, just shoot me a message and I'll send you a link. But I got it on Amazon. But they worked really, really well. Just one word of advice: don't try to sit on the edge of the pool and squeeze the air out of it and expect it to stay dry. So I've been told. I may do a video, another video on this kind of thing. There's another experience. So I will probably do that in another. Also has some experiences in a wheelchair. I found a list of 20 things that people in wheelchairs have to cope with. And when I found the list, it reminded me of something else that we experienced. The first one on the list was having filthy hands all the time. And when Sarah went to the fair in Abilene with me, on numerous occasions, she had to ask someone to clean the handicap stall. So just think, you've entered into a public bathroom on wheels, and the only stall you can get into is the handicap stall. There are 27 stalls in this bathroom, and guess how many are full? One. The only one that you can get into. You knock and let them know that you can't get in the other stall, and they ignore you, and they eventually come out, don't even apologize for making you wait. And then you roll into the bathroom stall with liquid and other things on the floor. And now you have to roll yourself out of the bathroom. So yeah, pretty gross. I never would have thought about that until we experienced it. And one more thing to add to the list to keep with you at all times: wipes. So you can clean your hands and the wheels on your wheelchair when you run through nasty stuff. And rain, when it's raining and you run through the mud, that we experienced that one too. So I really just need to do another video because I keep thinking of other things. But if you would like those 20 things that people in wheelchairs have to cope with, shoot me a message and I will get those to you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks.